Yeah, thank you. So, my name is Stanislav. People call me Stan since I live in Quebec City, Canada. So, it's more common because of the references like South Park, and we also have like this movie here about hockey called Boys, and there's a guy called Stan. So, yeah, I'm born in Bulgaria. I love metal, and back in my during my school days, I was a big fan of like exotic metal when internet came to our house because I used to live with my parents, and at that period of time, I discovered a lot of bands like Moon Sorrow, Battery, Drukt, Nocturnal Martyr, Rotting Christ, name it, that mixing folk with metal. There are a lot of ways of doing that. So I was trying to find the equivalent, but the Bulgarian equivalent. And there are some folk metal bands around there, but there was not these kind of epic folk storytelling folk metal bands, or even dark, because they sound like more happy. So I was like, if I don't find them, I'll try to invent it. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much how it started, how everything started. And later on, I had like a partnership with my mate Dubrin. So we actually founded the project, and we started recording music 2016, 17, and the project just kept on growing since then.
That's
This is
awesome.
the Yeah.
So
So yeah.
that's a cool story. I do want to ask you the first question I ask anyone that I ever interview is, how's everything going with you? Not just musically, but also in your personal life as well, because that's also important too.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're right in the middle of inflation, uncertainty all around the globe, and this thing impacts a lot. For example, we need to work harder, and of course, music is not the main thing that brings money on the table, or stuff like that. So, of course,
Mhm.
we have to work to in order to play music, because everything is just more and more expensive. So I think I'm not unique from that point of view. And yeah, it goes well, but it's more difficult to release new music during crisis periods. So yeah.
True. So, how are you feeling after the album's done and we're just like a few days from release?
I'm kind of feeling, of course, I always have this positive stress going on, like how long can I maintain like the momentum and stuff like that. But to
Mhm.
be quite honest, it was like 2 to 4 years of work, because I did the whole mix, and it was very hard to keep people involved in the project, because they have like a lot of priorities and stuff like that. So that the main process was very hard. So I kind of feel relieved that it's like it will go out and stuff like that. So yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So I listened to the album. I really enjoyed it. I think it was very up my alley. I love folk. I love culture. So I like black metal. So it's a bunch of things that I like. But from my understanding, this album is broken up into like sections where the start is like an like ancestral memory maybe, and then the second half talks about exile and elements with pagans and things like that. Can you kind of walk me through the process of how this album was created and like the sections of it? Because it's different.
Yeah, definitely. So we have it's not that much into sections, but you felt it that way, and it's normal, because there are two types of songs in that album. There are these Bulgarian oriented songs, and there are these more classical metal, black metal songs incorporating folk.
Mhm.
And the Bulgarian songs come from me, while the other band members, they had riffs for more black metal songs. So we kind of have two different types of songs that are mixed together, and I tried to put those ritualistic songs more at the end, because when you first hear them, they're less catchy. So I tried to put the more catchy songs on the first side because I'm already imagining the vinyl. On the first side, you have those catchy songs,
Hmm.
and each song has a thematic because we don't write our own lyrics. I never been to school in Bulgaria, so I kind of use poetry from our literature to build songs around them. So the
Hmm.
first song is about Thracians. It's like a compilation of texts that I found about Thracians, and I kind of use samples to build like a thematic around it. And it was the first time we're incorporating this thematic, so it was very fun to do it that way. And the song sounds a little bit fairy tale storytelling and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So good start, so song to start. And then we have Hanas Baruch, which is one of the founding fathers of Bulgaria.
Hmm.
Um, so there's a literally a song about him. We needed sooner or late to write a song about him, and that's why we have this battery vibe,
Yeah.
this epic battery vibe that fits very well with the thematic because he during his period people fought on horses and stuff like that. So in this
Yeah.
song you really feel that. And after that, we have that poem from Dimchu Debelanov, which is Cherna Pesen. It's more esoteric because it has a lot of contrast between life and death, cold and heat, and stuff like that. So it's a very good, like introspective kind of poem, but at the same time, it is not. But it's like I really love the contrast, so we build a song around it, and this we even made a video of this song. You see the at the beginning of the video, I'm kind of dead, then I rise from the dead, and it was very fun to make. And after that, we have this interlude, Последния поход, which is like a Bulgarian traditional song that
Hmm.
we kind of jammed, but we changed the lyrics just a little bit to make it sound more pagan, and it's some kind of an interlude because it's very short and it closes the side,
Yeah.
the first side, and then come the second side, which is people were kind of not ready for it because here are like the biggest orchestrations like
Yeah.
Tugazayuk is about a guy who a poet a poet who was living outside his country. He was living in Russia while he was writing about Bulgaria. That's why is called Longing for South. He was missing Bulgaria and thinking about it, but we didn't want to sound like a band complaining, so the song kind of has a festive kind of atmosphere, folk,
Yeah.
because there are good sides about. For example, in my case, it was a better choice to live in Canada than to stay in Bulgaria. So I kind of, in my own interpretation, is like nothing bad happened at the end.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then we have like the other song is about kukeri. These are the costumes that scare away evil spirits, and that's why on the cover art they're burning churches because church is evil, and we it's like a pagan thing. And we have this ritualistic song "Завръщането народния бог," which is a lot of small pagan incantations I took here and there to build a song with a lot of voices, and
Hmm.
this is probably the less catchy of the entire album, but maybe the most interesting because this small song like takes 3 minutes. I think I wrote it for 5 years,
Oh,
even if
wow.
it's 3 minutes long. And at the very end, after all this madness, we wanted to finish the album with something more catchy, and the lyrics are simply about the Bulgarian language, the beauty of the Bulgarian language. So that's how the album is built. We try to balance things a little bit.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks for naming those songs because I'm not even going to attempt to try to name them. Bulgarian's not a language I know at all. So
Yeah, that's very cool that in interviews we can like discuss this.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. It also kind of makes sense, like why the album feels a little bit different because it felt like it was like in sections, like, okay, this is one section, and then we go to the next section. So it kind of makes sense why it is that way.
Yeah.
So I know a lot of the actual album itself is based on like rituals, Bulgarian history, pagan things. What do you want the listener to take away when they listen to the full album?
Well, it's a little bit up to the listener. My main goal is like to promote the Bulgarian culture through music. This is one of my goals. Like someone who has never heard of Bulgaria because it's a small country,
Mhm,
or says like, ah, it's an Eastern European country. It's far more than that. We have a very specific folk music.
mhm,
So I want like to introduce people to Bulgarian folk, but at the same time, I want people to be proud of their traditions, their folklore and stuff like that. And I want like at some extent I want to inspire people to do the same thing. For example, to have like a Mongolian band that is really into those throat singings. I would love
mhm.
that, and just inspire people, but at the same time promote this culture that has very specific things. And right now with globalization and everything, it's
Mhm.
very easy for bands to sound the same because you have like those you have for example a label like death metal. A lot of bands will be like, okay, since we play death metal, there's like a checklist that they need to do.
Yeah.
So I try to inspire people to avoid that. Just play whatever defines you.
So don't be afraid to be yourself and use what's in your culture. Like
Yeah,
everything.
exactly. Don't
Awesome.
be afraid, don't be ashamed, and be open to the other cultures as well, because when you do that, uh, it's good that people are open to that, but at the same time it's very good that you are open to the other cultures as well. Because I was sitting on the other side when I was in high school. I was like, I was impressed by those bands that, for
Yeah.
example, Rotting Christ, that sounds so Greek. I was like, wow, how do they do that? So maybe I want to be one of them, like to inspire a younger generation to do the same thing.
Awesome. So what's
Yeah.
the black metal scene like in Canada versus Bulgaria, for example?
Black metal in Canada is very strong. We have a lot of bands, especially here in Quebec. We have Forteresse, we have Monarch. These bands used to cross the ocean to play on the in Europe, and they play in pretty good festivals over there. So
Hmm.
here, black metal culture is very widespread. On the contrary, in Bulgaria, people are more into Deep Purple, Uriah Heep, Iron Maiden. So black metal was something that came very late because uh, people are not on the same in the same mood, and rock and roll was forbidden during Soviet. During Soviet Union, so a lot of people discovered these bands like 20 years later. So it's very funny because there was a big
Oh,
period
wow.
of time where Bulgaria was 20 years behind.
Hey, at least we have the internet now, so everyone can catch up. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, right now, yeah, they're catching up, but it took a while. For example, I remember Behemoth were already popular here, and they played
Hmm.
in Bulgaria during the Apostasy tour, and they're like, "Oh my God, death metal is something," but here it already was something.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
apologize if I say this incorrectly, but what's a tambura? I know it says that that's an instrument you play, so can you kind of tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, tambura is like string instrument, a Bulgarian string instrument that we used to have a lot in our folklore. Uh, but tamburas, a lot of countries have tamburas, but the Balkans have a very specific sound for the tambura. And very often it reminds a little bit of the mandolin. it's something. How can I best describe it? It sounds something like between a mandolin and a Eastern instrument, Iranian, Oriental. Sorry, I was like searching for the
Yeah.
word. So it sounds something between a mandolin and an Oriental instrument, but it's a string instrument, and yeah, it's you can find these in Bulgaria. I think you have some in the Greek folklore as well, because I heard plenty of them, and it's a instrument typical from the region over there. And a
Yeah.
lot of people were like, back in the days before we actually bought a tambura, we had like a balalaika. I found a balalaika in the marketplace. So in the first TSAR STANGRA album, there were balalaikas, but it's not
Yeah.
Bulgarian at all. So I was like, one day I'll replace it with a real instrument that is really from the geographical regions. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So in Bulgarian culture, I know you mentioned a lot about folklore. Is that something that's just like highly spoken about? Like everyone knows about the folklore, or is it just kind of like old generations or
This is very funny because in Bulgaria, rockers used to hate folklore. This is what makes Bulgaria very special. Right now, there are new movements. I see new bands that are starting to mix folklore, and I'm really happy about it. But
hmm
back in the days, it was like two enemies. We may think, okay, rappers and metalheads used to intimidate each other during high school, but in Bulgaria, a lot of people that like rock and roll hate folk a lot. So that's why when I was in high school, I was trying to find the the equivalent of these Ukrainian Greek metal bands, but in Bulgaria, there were
Yeah.
none at that period because for the exact same reason. So folk music is like people playing in villages, and usually grandfathers with accordions, tamburas, and strange voices singing
Yeah.
in the countryside. So rockers usually don't listen to that, and the folklore in Bulgaria follows specific rules. For example, they are not very often in 4/4. They have like asymmetric, irregular rhythms and stuff like that. So
Oh wow.
usually it clashes with rock and roll. The two don't match well together. So this is another reason why it's not popular, or at least wasn't that popular among rockers for a long period of time.
Well, with this album itself, with the folklore, since it is like inspired by that, what is your favorite folklore?
My favorite folklore, you mean all around the world?
I mean, in Bulgaria, since or maybe one that inspired this album, whatever you want.
Oh yeah, in
There's so many.
Bulgaria, I will definitely say these folk dances, horo, rachenica, these kind of dances inspire me a lot for the rhythms. That's why sometimes people say about the song of our video clip, Black Song, Cherna Pesen. A lot of people say it has a dance groove because of that. We dance to irregular rhythms in our folklore, and I think the most impressive thing are these mystery of Bulgarian voices,
Yeah.
these choirs that sound alien. So we started experimenting with that. For example, that song, that 3 minute song that took me 5 years,
hmm
is one of them where we kind of like incorporated that. And this is by far the best for me, the best sounding Bulgarian folk. But I'm a huge Mongolian folk fan as well.
Gotcha.
And
Well,
of
that's
course, we have a lot of Irish people here, so I'm close to Irish folk in Canada. A lot of we used to listen a lot of Celtic folk and stuff like that. So yeah,
it's fun to see like just how there's different folklores all around the world. So that's pretty cool.
yeah,
And this album's called Hymns of the Broken Words or Worlds. And I'm
yeah.
curious to know, what does hymn mean to you?
A hymn.
Yes.
Well, usually a hymn. For example, I'll try to be cautious because it's everything is romanticized when we do art. But
Hmm.
I very often I say that, for example, songs like "Stairway to Heaven" from Led Zeppelin or "Dancing with the Moonlight Night" from Genesis are not only songs; they're something more strong. They're hymns.
Hmm.
But usually that's how I define him, something like unique that gathers people. But in this case here, I'm not saying I wrote hymns because I'm really not ready to compare this with Genesis and but in this case, it's because a hymn is something that uses to gather people. But here the hymn is about the broken worlds. Why broken? Because we during this album we had to do a lot of compromises, and there was this clash of the cultures. We talked in the beginning of the interview. We talked about sections, but these sections are an accident, but a good accident, like because the album is very interesting because of that. But you see that there are songs, for example, one song that sound very battery, immortal, and stuff like that, and the song next to that one is very Bulgarian. So there was a constant clash of the cultures because at one side you have people that wanted to play like more traditional metal, and they were like, "Ah, let's play in 4/4. Let's do like traditional metal. We're metalheads. Let's do that." But on the
Hmm.
other side, you have me with that these crazy songs. For example, that 3 minute song that like, no, I want to play Bulgarian thing because it's not yet made. No one is making such crazy stuff. So that's the whole clash about. That's what the whole clash is about. So that's why these are the hymns that are resulting from these worlds that just collapsed, clashed together. So it was like
Hmm.
romanticized.
Well, that's
So
awesome.
yeah,
So I have to ask, have you ever thought about doing a song in English at all, ever?
not in this project. I played in English projects before, and I played in French projects as well. But for this project, I purposely decided to make it as authentic as possible because
Hmm.
if I want to promote a given culture, I really need to do it like 100% or not at all. I'm
Yeah.
that kind of guy. So even if it's very niche, is very specific, at least it will exist that way.
Yes. Well, awesome. Well, I have one last question here for you. Is there anything you'd like to say to, your old fans, new fans, or anyone interested in listening to this album?
Oh, it's very. I mean, this album is very unique. We will not record another album like that. You'll see why in the next months, because there's something that I'm about to announce very soon,
Ooh.
and in the next in the following months, that will define the future of the project. Very it will have like a change of direction, which will make it even more interesting. So at one point, I would love to say stay tuned for that, but at the other, I would maybe the most important message will be to keep on listening to not only us but those original bands all over the world, especially after a movie like Global Metal. You have a lot of emerging bands, a lot of established bands as well. I think of Melikesh from Israel. I think of Tonic from Taiwan. uh, we really have a good variety of metal, and that is far from that thing we're used to, and you really need to keep on listening to that because the scene is just getting more and more interesting from that point of view. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I will let you let the listeners know the name of the album when it comes out and where they can grab their copy or listen to it.
Thank you very much. So, yeah, if, for example, right now it will be available digitally next week, and we will have another date for a physical release. It's under negotiations, but we'll start with a digital release. So we'll have like a release party on YouTube. I'm even about to write that post to program it for next week.
So, well, the name of the album is Hymns of the Broken World. I'll leave all the links below, so it makes it super easy for anyone listening if you want to check it out. I like the album. It mixes so many unique things, and I think there's just something amazing about listening to an album where it doesn't sound like everything else. So I think you did an awesome job with this one.
Thank you very, very much.
Not,
I really appreciate it.
yeah, no problem. Thank you so much for taking your time for doing this interview.
Yeah, thank you a lot for having us. It's very, it means a lot to us, and as soon as it is published, we're gonna definitely share it too.